Now, here's something I've wondered for a while, and that's how deep is the market on the Flesh and Blood. It's been almost 2 years as of right now, the release of Tales of Aria, or Monarch. Um, Not quite. It's still like a year and 10 months, but there's still so much product, the price isn't really holding. Monarch's like $100 a box, 95 for a first edition box. Um, a year and 10 months later. It's just interesting to me if they print it too much or people are just mm, too used to what happened to like Wrath and Arcane Rising and Crucible of War that it only goes up, right? But these other newer boxes, such as like Uprising, seem to still be holding their own at like $90. It's the same to get a first edition Monarch as it is to get some of the newer stuff. And that just kind of seems weird, but kind of not as well. Because if you look at like Magic the Gathering, you can still get Zendikar Rising boxes for like 110 for a set booster box, and the new stuff that's the Phyrexia is like 100 for a set booster box. So even stuff that was in released in like whatever that was, September of 2019, um, yeah, that's still doing its thing, and it still hasn't really rose yet, but everybody's got confidence in Magic the Gathering, so, well, kind of. Um, so it doesn't really worry me, at least. Like, sure, there's the whole Magic 30 and Hasbro, and everything's going terrible, but I do feel like in 3 to 5 years there's going to be demand for these boxes. Now, that hasn't been true of everything. You can look at some, like, Return to Ravnica, I think, was like 2014, maybe, and it's still like 130 a box, like 8 years later, almost dying. So you never do know. But none of the Magic boxes in even somewhat recent history have just utterly collapsed, other than the jumpstart of each set. So I don't know if you can really, do you really consider that like if the draft and the set and the collector are holding good, but the fourth offering of that product line is doing terrible because it's theme boosters repackaged. And I like the idea of a jumpstart of every set, but the execution was terrible. And I wish they would have done it differently. If they're gonna do these kind of two sets to a block kind of thing, I wish they would have made one jump start for that. So you'd have more variety in your box. It would be hopefully a better product then, not make it as theme boostery, and you'd have more cards to choose from to actually put some interesting stuff in there and change up So you had actual variety of decks and not like whatever people are saying. There's like sometimes basically just 5 different decks. Make the argument for 10 in the set jumpstart of each set, but oh well. It is what it is. Whatever happened, happened. Back to Flesh and Blood, though. I wonder how deep the market is and how, if they have cut back the print run, and when they'll release the Tales of Haria print run, as well as, well, we know for Everfest they just scrapped Unlimited. They just said, okay, first edition's enough, and Everfest is still at map prices at like $70 a booster box with only the first edition release. So, I don't know. I don't know if the demand was ever really there, or if that was the whole Channel Fireball holding back like they did with Monarch to make this false demand. But also, again, it's been not quite even 2 years yet. I think we'll really start to see what the long-term demand is once we hit maybe more like the 5-year mark and see how these things actually age. And me, for one, I want a cold foil set from Tales of Aria. Slowly accumulating it, got all the commons, got a majestic or 2, and a legendary, and now I plan to just open a booster case and hopefully hit a legendary that I don't have, or the Fabled. That would be pretty sweet, and build up my collection and maybe a couple of the majestics that I don't have, and then add to my stack of common cold foils, and then also just have enough cards that I should be able to build whatever deck I want from Tales and play with my friends.